And this time it is Senior Max, and it is the final qualifying heat before we decide who the top 28 are. And the grid is as follows. Clayton Ravenscroft, who I managed to catch briefly during the lunch break, he's had a little bit of ring rust over the last couple of months. He's on pole position alongside Ilian Brunsils. Dylan LaHaye and Lewis Gilbert round out row 2 ahead of Eduardo Cosseteng and Nick van der Mosselaar. Jason Lockwood and Matilda Olson round out row number 4 ahead of Teddy Clinton and Nelson King. Maxim Turiev and Will Jenkins, that is row number 6 ahead of Fabian Bock and Andres Hebert, and that's row 7. Kian Sang, Samuel Harrison, Zen Rudenberg, Patrick Grunquist, Felix Varget, Vincent van Kerkhoff, and round out the top 20 ahead of Emily de Hoys, Lorenzo Stolk, Bram Ossewaarde, Victor Plateau, Guilherme de Oliveira, Ehad Turca, Clementine Benoit, Josh Powell and Ben Donkin. 7 minutes have been set on the timer above the start-finish line, and the red lights are on the gantry once more. So this is the third and final qualifying heat for today. They'll go through it all again tomorrow for the final day of the season. So the top 10 is Ravenscroft, Brunsils, LaHaye, Gilbert, Cosseteng, van der Mosselaar, Lockwood, Olson, Clinton and King. So 29 drivers again going into battle. And we've already got the 312 of... Oh no, that's Guilherme de Oliveira. So a real shame for the Portuguese driver, wanting to get some mileage in before the grand finals. He has qualified for that in 2 weeks' time at Sarno in Italy. So we are down to now effectively 28 drivers, unfortunately now. So we're now trying to line up into grid formation. A few stragglers at the back part of the field. Looks like they're getting into position. So for the final time, it's the last of 3 qualifying heats. 7 minutes on the gantry, on the timer. Red lights on the gantry, ready for us to go racing. So it'll be this and 2 more Senior Max races to conclude the day's action for this particular class. And we get a full start called. So race direction not happy with that start, as Clayton Ravenscroft was a little bit further ahead than Ilian Brunsils than probably the race starter would have liked. So they pinged it as a full start. Another formation lap will be put into prominence here. So it's Ravenscroft from Brunsils, LaHaye, Gilbert, Cosseteng, van der Mosselaar, Lockwood, Olson, Clinton, King, Turiev, Jenkins, Bock, Hebert, Sang, Harrison, Rudenberg, Rundqvist, Varget, Van Kerkhoffen, De Hoys, Stolk, Ossewaarde, Plateau, a space where it would have been on 25th position for De Oliveira, Turca, Benoit, Powell and Donkin. So this is the third full start of the day. But with tensions running high in the championship dynamics, it can very much play on the minds of drivers, but they have to focus and iron that out. And just focus on the task at hand, which is to get up as far the order or be at the front of the field and stay there for as long as humanly possible. So, second time of asking for the final Senior Max qualification heat of the first day of the last race weekend of the season in the BNL karting series. So, Ravenscroft on pole, Brunsils alongside, red lights back on the starting gantry, 7 minutes once again reset on the timer here in karting Genk. Better start this time. Do we go lights out? Yes, we do. And Brunsils came under very, very stern opposition from Gilbert, who's trying to go round the outside, and it's 4 abreast nigh on, and Brunsils has got the lead. Gilbert up to second, LaHaye up into third place. Ravenscroft looks to have provided a slight gesticulation there. He's down in 4th, maybe 5th position. Looks to be 4th or 5th by my reckoning there, as we've got somebody right at the back end of the field. Looks to be De Oliveira, I believe, who might have got that cart restarted and going again. So the field trying to make its way neatly through turns 8 and 9, and there is an absolute gaggle at the back part of the field, squabbling over tarmac space like their lives depended on it. As Brunsils leads from LaHaye, then it is Gilbert, as the 315 of Jason Lockwood tries to go up the inside of Clayton Ravenscroft, who instantly counter-attacks. And then straight away has got Jenkins in the 330 just behind for close company. So Brunsils and LaHaye trying to pull away now ahead of Lewis Gilbert. Then it's Lockwood. Looks like, or could that be Cosseteng? So Cosseteng started in 5th. Must have made a good inroad there in the initial foray, but there are changes of position round about sort of 4th, 5th to 6th position. Olson currently looks to be in 7th and has got just behind, looks like Nelson King on the 354, I believe, as there's a nice little move up the inside for what is 8th place on the road, as Brunsils fending off LaHaye quite vehemently there. 5 minutes and 19 plus an additional lap left to go. So at the minute, it is Brunsils, LaHaye, Gilbert, Ravenscroft, Lockwood, Cosseteng, and Olson. So Olson trying to go up the inside of Cosseteng, makes the move stick, and looks like King has just gone through as well. So Cosseteng loses out 2 positions in 1 corner. And looks like Ben Donkin's definitely in the trenches with Bramo Cevada right on the back bumper of the Brit, who looks to have lost out at least 1 position, maybe even make that 2, as Vincent van Kerkhoven, I think, has made his way past. But at the front, Gilbert's now closing in on the 2 leaders, so LaHaye now leads. Brunsils in 2nd place, Gilbert in 3rd. Then Ravenscroft a little bit further adrift in 4th place, but has some ground to make up. And Nelson King is now ahead of Eduardo Cosseteng as they come across the start-finish line to complete another lap, as Brunsils really closes up on LaHaye in the braking zone into turn number 2. And they have to be very wary of that runoff area off of turn 2 and into the first of a triple right-hander at turn 3. As Gilbert's gone up the inside of Brunsils to take 2nd. Now the chase is on. It's now about closing down that distance between himself and Dylan LaHaye for the lead of the race, but Clayton Ravenscroft has come back at them. I've seen some audacious moves in the past, especially last year's BNL Karting Series finale, when he went round the outside of the last couple of corners and made up at least 2 or 3 places, which was definitely an overtake you needed to see to believe. As now Olson has got past Lockwood for 5th position, so she showed a very good turn of pace on the Sodi Kart chassis in the last heat, which she won, as there was that titanic 4-way scrap for the lead of the race, as it's all sort of slightly starting to kick off in front of the Swede, as Ravenscroft trying to put the feelers out on Brunsils at the minute. And Ravenscroft up the inside of Brunsils, now takes 3rd position, so a good job there from the Brit. Now has to try and close up on Gilbert and LaHaye. Last time around, the gap between 1st and 2nd was just over 4 tenths. It just depends on how much Gilbert can close in on LaHaye. But then Ravenscroft, Brunsils, Olson, that's the top 5, followed by Jason Lockwood in 6th place. Then we've got the 354 of Nelson King, the 316 of Eduardo Cosseteng, and Felix Varget is just ahead of Will Jenkins in the 330. That rounds out the top 10. Now go on to lap number 5 here. 2 minutes and 16, plus an additional lap left to go on the clock. And the top 6 are definitely getting a lot closer together. But now Gilbert has really got the bit between the teeth and is trying to close up on LaHaye as Olson goes up the inside of Brunsils to take 4th position. Quite nicely done by the Swede as Lockwood now on the back bumper of Brunsils. So Brunsils coming under fire in the latter stages of this last qualifying heat. But it's becoming a 3-way battle royale at the front, with LaHaye leading, Gilbert in 2nd, and hot on the heels of the Scot is Ravenscroft in 3rd place. So we come round to start lap number 7 very shortly, as Ravenscroft has got past Lewis Gilbert. That's the, and he's just said to Lewis Gilbert, let's work together and get past Dylan LaHaye, as that was a perfectly timed manoeuvre from Clayton Ravenscroft to swoop up the inside of Dylan LaHaye into turn number 2. But could we see a repeat of the previous qualifying heat as LaHaye retakes the lead? Gilbert trying to slingshot past Ravenscroft on the approach down to turn number 7. Can't get through quite yet, but the time is fast ticking away. Less than 60 seconds, plus an additional lap left to go, as La Haye continues to lead, having started on position number 3. So Ravenscroft, and there's a big gap because now Nelson King has got past Ilian Brunsils for 5th position. So La Haye takes the quickest of glances over his right shoulder to see where Ravenscroft is, just to position his cart in the correct position. And 29 seconds on the clock remaining as Lewis Gilbert tries to go defensive on Matilda Olsson. Gets a little bump from behind as Ravenscroft retakes the lead yet again. Gilbert looking quite menacing. Olsson just waiting in the wings there is the Swede from Uppsala. So we come to the last 10 seconds. So by the time they hit the end of turn number 7, it's going to be this being the penultimate lap as they come through turn 7 now. And that's pretty much it. The time has now expired. This is the penultimate lap of the race, and the battle is still raging on at the front of the field as Gilbert tries to go up the inside of La Haye, has to back out of it. And this is allowing Nelson King and Ilian Brunsils to come into this 6-way scrap for the effective lead and victory of this race. But Ravenscroft has struck whilst the iron is hot as King gets passed by Brunsils coming through the final couple of corners. So last lap it is. Clayton Ravenscroft has an advantage of just over 0.2 of a second, but it wasn't enough because Dylan La Haye goes up the inside of the Brit yet again to retake the lead. Gilbert could go through, he's got enough room but doesn't have it as Ravenscroft shuts the door quite firmly there to keep his hold on second position. But it's a case of when will Ravenscroft strike back at Dylan La Haye. He's bump drafting on the back bumper of the Belgian going through into turn 7. And he goes wide and has to avoid the barriers. That's really compromised him coming out of turn 7. And he has lost an absolute plethora of places. So that was down from second. And that has put him right down to the bottom part of the top 10. As Brunsils really having to get defensive on Nelson King. As Lewis Gilbert trying to find his way past Dylan La Haye. Olsson right in hot pursuit. Top 5 line astern. It's going to be about who's going to want it. And who's going to drag race to the end of the line. Who's going to drag race to the end of the finish. And it's not enough because Dylan La Haye takes a win just ahead of Lewis Gilbert and Matilda Olsson. Ilian Brunsils and Nelson King make it a very, very close top 5 indeed. 0.463 of a second from between La Haye, Gilbert, Olsson, Brunsils and King. Ravenscroft would end up being 9th at the end of that behind Will Jenkins. Well, Felix Varget capitalised along with them as Ravenscroft went to try to go towards the outside of turn 7. I think he just went in a bit too hot there maybe and had to avoid the barriers. So Ravenscroft finishes in 9th behind Eduardo Cosseteng, Will Jenkins in 7th, Felix Varget in 6th. Jason Lockwood rounds out the top 10 ahead of Kian Sang, Maxim Turiev, Lorenzo Stock, Teddy Clinton and Andreas Hebauer being the last of the top 15. Guilherme de Oliveira unfortunately did not start the race due to a technical issue on the formation lap. Emily de Huysen 16th ahead of Zen Rudenberg, Sam Harrison, Nick van der Mosselaar, Bram Ossevaarde, Fabian Bock, Ehad Turker, Victor Plateau, Ben Donkin, Vincent van Kerkhoff and Patrick Rundquist finishing all the way down in 26th ahead of Clementine Benoit and Josh Powell.